welcome back to Step by Step. This is a video about choosing fish, really. Now, if you go on the internet, you're going to get very confused about what are the best fish for your brand new biOrb. So I'm going to suggest 6 steps that you need to use in terms of choosing your fish. So the first step is, so number 1, is about how many fish. And how many fish relates to the size of your aquarium. So there is a yardstick that is used sort of typically within the aquarium industry for the numbers of fish. And the yardstick is to choose 1 inch of fish per gallon. Okay, so so what does that mean? So 1 inch of fish is about the number of fish at the size of their maturity. So in other words, not necessarily what you buy from your aquarium, from your shop or your supplier, but it's how big those fish are going to get. So and also 1 inch of fish is about the main body part of the fish. So in other words, its head right through its main body part, but excluding the tail, because in some species the tail can be almost as big as the rest of the body. So it's purely about the body, the head and the body size of your fish. What would I describe as a 1 inch fish? I would probably say something along the lines of a guppy, something like that. So a guppy minus its tail is around about 1 inch on maturity. Okay, so let's translate that to the litre sizes of an aquarium, of a biOrb aquarium. So a 15 litre, which is the smallest size of biOrb aquariums, we're talking 3 to 4 inches of fish. So in other words, 3 to 4 inches, or 3 to 4 guppies, if you like. 30 litre is 7 to 8 inches. So again, about 7 to 8 sort of guppies. 45 is 9 to 10 inches. 60 is 13 to 14, and 105 litre, as you know, which is the largest of the biOrbs, is around 23 to 24 inches of fish. Okay, so I mean, that's the general yardstick. I think I really would suggest that is a starting point for you to decide how many fish. But to some degree, that rule depends also on the sensitivity and hardness or hardiness of your fish. And I'll talk about hardiness and sensitivity a bit later on as one of the other steps. But if you like, a hardy fish or hardy fish species will be able to tolerate the sort of pushing the boundaries of that limit in terms of fish numbers per aquarium. Step 2, okay, and this may be, or this is probably one of the most important things that I feel, because it's a choice that is not only good for you, but it's also good for your fish as well. And step 2 is choose fish that suit your water supply, because for most people it's the water that comes out of their tap that will form the water that will go into their aquariums. So what you need to do is you need to choose fish that are far more compatible to the water you have than, for example, those fish that are just never going to meet those your water supply. And you will struggle, particularly as a new owner, to try and change your water supply parameters to suit a certain type of fish. So choose fish that suit your water supply. And how do you do that? Okay, so I think the key things of or the key thing is pH. You need to understand what your pH of your water supply is, but there are other things as well, such as nitrate levels and other things. But pH is probably one of the biggest things you need to look at. How do you do that? Well, you can get a water test kit, and you can test your water supply and find out what the pH is. But I would suggest that you get straight onto the internet. You go onto the website of your supplier, because a water supplier is required, I think, under law, to actually publish their water quality details. So if you look at their water quality, that will describe the things like pH range of a typical water supply to your tap. Okay, so have a look at pH. Also have a look at nitrate as well. If you see my other videos, you'll understand that nitrate is a problem that you need to deal with through water changes. So pH and nitrate, I think, are the key things you need to look at. So go to. Okay, step 3. Step 3 is probably the one thing that of all this, that you actually have control of, and it's about temperature. Are you going to choose to have an aquarium that's heated or not heated? Simple as that. And that's your choice. If you go for a non-heated aquarium, that's fine, no problem. But if you choose a non-heated aquarium, your choice of fish species is very, very narrow. And I think that the other important consideration, even beyond that, is that it is far easier to cycle a new aquarium to get that ready for fish with a heated aquarium than what it is with a non-heated aquarium. So if you're new to having an aquarium, I would certainly say, I would certainly try and push you towards considering a heated aquarium, because that offers you a larger range of fish species, but you will find that getting your aquarium ready for fish, i.e. cycling your aquarium to get the beneficial bacteria you need to support those fish, is going to be far easier if it's heated. In terms of biOrb and the heaters they supply, I say heaters, it's now come down to heater, because they used to have more than one sort of heater that they used to offer. Biorb heaters are typically between 24 to 25 degrees centigrade, so that's 75 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and that sort of that is a really good temperature, actually, because that covers most tropical fish. My advice would be, if you're going to get a biorb, or if you're going to get a new aquarium, that you should get one that's heated. So get yourself a heater. Step 4 is about hardness and sensitivity. So what do I mean by hardness and sensitivity? So some fish species are very, very sensitive. When I say sensitive, I'm talking about the parameters that they would tolerate as a species. So that might be the parameters of pH, might be the parameters of temperature, it might be the parameters of how the nitrate sort of builds in your aquarium, and sensitive fish are going to struggle with conditions that are basically up and down like this, whereas hardy fish are fish that actually can easily tolerate a broad range of pH. They can tolerate changes in temperature. They can adapt, or they can tolerate the ups and downs of an aquarium. And when you're setting up a brand new aquarium from start, it's particularly the hardy fish that I would recommend, because those fish are going to be able tolerate the variations that you'll find that will result as because of aquarium cycling. So hardy fish are certainly far more suited to setting up a new aquarium. And when I say hardy fish, examples, okay, zebra danios are probably, I would say, are probably the best example of a hardy fish. If you were going to if you were really worried and you wanted something that was fairly straightforward to look after in terms of your aquarium, zebra danios are probably the best, I would say. But there are other fish that are also hardy, so rasboras, beta fish, barbs, corridoras are quite good as well, and things like guppies. I'll also include enders with that as well. So enders are really good and fairly hardy. Step 5 is about compatibility, and compatibility is certainly something that you need to think about, especially if you're having a mixed fish species within your aquarium. The main reason being that not all fish are suited to being with others, even within their own species, let alone other species. So, and compatibility is triggered by that some fish are far more bullish compared to other fish that are far more sensitive. Some fish are far more territorial, so they want to occupy a part of an aquarium without others coming into that area. And other fish are perhaps more social, and when I say social, they will quite happily join another group of fish and feel quite happy within another group. So other fish may tend to pick on other fish as well. So, for example, barbs are often described as fin nippers. In other words, they will bite the fins of those fish that have quite large either fins or tails. So, to mix, for example, barbs with things like guppies or sort of beta is probably not the best thing to do. So the best thing to do is have a look at what's called a compatibility chart, and I suggest that the one by Aquarium Industries is probably one of the best that I've found anyway, and because it covers most of the fish species that you'll be thinking of. So how do they work? Or this one I'm showing now is the Aquarium Industries chart, where green is shown as compatible, amber, yellow, is describes fish that are usually compatible. That, in other words, some individuals within a species might be a bit moodier than others, and red is a scenario where really you should not be mixing those two types of fish species together. Okay, so step 6, and this is the last of the steps, and this is about this choice is about the ease of breeding in your fish. You're very limited within most biOrbs in terms of the number of fish. As we've said, we talked about the 1 inch per gallon rule, and some species are going to produce young far more easier than other species, and the best example are live bearers. And live bearers, as the name suggests, they give birth to live young, so they don't have eggs. What pops out of them are young fry, and those young fry are more able to survive and turn into adults. And before you know it, and within a very short period of time, you will find that you have far more fish in your aquarium than you intended in the first place. So live bearers are probably the most prolific of those fish species that will produce young. And when I say live bearers, so examples of live bearers are mollies, platies, guppies, endlers, and swordtails. All those fish easily produce young. Guppies will breed like rabbits. That's the only way to describe them. Or maybe rabbits breed like guppies. I don't know which way around it is, but they will produce young, and some of those young will get predated, eaten, if you like, by other fish, but there'll be a reasonable number of those fish that will survive and get bigger, and before you know it, you've got too many fish. Now, the alternative to that is egg layers. Now, those fish that lay eggs often need very certain conditions for laying those eggs, and it might be temperature related, it might be pH related, or it might be the suitability of plants for them to lay their eggs on. And on top of that, those eggs are easily accessible to all the other fish, and the likelihood is that they will get predated, not only by the if you like, the parents, but or the species, but also all the other species. So that's it from me. I hope you found this useful, especially if you're just about thinking about an aquarium, setting up an aquarium. I think the take-home message is, in a way, forget what your mindset is telling you of the type of fish that you think you should get, because that may not be the right choice. What you need to do is you need to match the fish to your aquarium and to your water supply. If you do that, you'll have a far easier life, but also you'll make the conditions for your fish that you choose far happier for those fish. And happier fish is a happier owner as well. So I hope you found that useful. If you like this video, always give it a thumbs up. If you love this video, subscribe, because there are far more videos to come. Okay, right, take care.